Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time it is going to be a 2v2 on Elst outskirts, as you can see, between, well, Galleon Squad 422, who is the guy who sent in the replay, and I'm very sorry, my friend, but I know I'm late in casting this. It's fine, I just didn't want to cast anything. By the way, this is the 200th cast, so yeah, hope you enjoy. And thanks for sticking with me, anyone who has been sticking with me with over, you know, over like two videos or something. Anyway, yeah, let's get back to it. We have Galleon Squad 422 as the USF, Excommunicate Traitors as the USF as well. On the enemy team, we have Holy Shit and Atlas having a good time. Of course, double OKW against double USF, it seems. And on Elst outskirts, that's kind of, it's kind of for the Americans. I mean, overall that matchup is kind of for the Americans. We'll see how this goes. We have already the Sturmpows getting into this building. Of course, Elst outskirts does have buildings overlooking the fuel and the VPs. Let's go ahead and show those. Not the perfect lines of sight. As you can see, only a couple of windows coming out of this building to the southeast. But that's still fine. Of course, the Sturm Pioneers getting out and then having to cross the negative cover isn't going to be good. The Riflemen with their M1 Grands might be able to defeat them at medium to close range. Yeah, it looks like the Riflemen are doing okay, but the Sturm Pals get in close and manage to massacre them in pretty much, well, merciless fashion. However, it seems like another Rifleman squad is going to be able to force away those Sturm Pals. The entire right side seems to be going to the OKW with, of course, the help of a couple of sandbags. These Focus Rangers should be able to hold these positions unless these Riflemen can steal the house, which they will not be able to. Yeah, this will not be very good. In the south, however, things are going better for the Americans. See, Excommunicate Traitors is doing quite well. His Riflemen have managed to secure some important positions, and now with the house over here, and also perhaps a mortar that he will definitely, you know, do well to get. He should be able to secure the south side of the map. He's got the south fuel, and right now he might even be able to help out Galleon Squad up in the north. In the north, yeah, Galleon Squad is not having the best of times. He's gone for an ambulance. Interesting choice. I think he wants the extra sort of extra fast reinforcements on the front lines. I'm not sure that's going to be a great idea, but oh well. He does have the VP building secured, and he's using those rifles to basically just stall the Volksgrenadiers. The Volksgrenadiers eventually are going to win this fight, especially with the support of the Cube Wagon. And here comes another Rifleman squad to relieve them once they were very, very close to dying. A nice flank coming in from these rear echelon troops, but it's not going to be really enough to deal with all of these guys that are pushing in against the Riflemen, only to deal with this squad. And in the south, it seems like another engagement is going down between Excommunicate and Holy Shit. Holy Shit is definitely taking a lot of damage from that fighting position, but the fighting position is going to be flanked by these folks. These folks are not really having the best of ideas right now. They're going into the building against the fighting position. That is probably the worst thing you can do, because that's going to allow the, you know, ooh, wow, okay. I was about to say it's going to allow the rear echelons to fire rifle grenades at you, but the rifle grenade is fired at the Cube Wagons. The Cube Wagon is still pushing through in a very disorganized manner, and also, yeah, as you can see, the Volksgrenadier is starting to take some grenade fire. On the right side, Galleon Squad has gone for a mortar, and he's using his ambulance plus the building to kind of echelon in and out Riflemen, getting the Riflemen that are back in the back line healed up, and then coming in and replacing the Rifleman squad up in the front. Although he needs to absolutely replace them right now because they're taking a lot of damage. Okay, finally he's able to replace the Rifleman, and he's also got the mortar set up. So he's in pretty good position at this point. He has been able to hold this position, basically not one step backing with the Rifleman, and avoiding that the Volksgrenadiers or the Cube Wagon push through to the ambulance. However, at this point, Atlas having a good time is going to have tier 2, or yeah, tier 3 mechanized regiment headquarters, so he's going to have incendiary grenades on his folks. So this kind of strategy isn't going to be working forever, especially considering that the tier 3, of course, is going to give him the Lukes. I'm thinking that he's going to go for the Lukes. It should be a pretty good idea right now. I mean, the Americans don't really have any AT, although Excommunicate Traitors has gone for the Captain, so that's a pretty good choice for him. Just wants to be safe, just in case. And as you can see, here comes the flame grenades from Atlas. Unfortunately, as you can see, he's lost a lot of a lot of men. His manpower situation is at 500, so he can definitely replace. Well, maybe replace. Did he lose a Volksgrenadier squad, or did he just build? He just built 2 of them, which is, in my opinion, a pretty huge mistake. He needs more folks in the early to mid game if he wants to keep up with the map control and the early game engagements. Otherwise, the Americans are just going to overrun him with superior numbers. In the south, we definitely see that excommunicate traders could definitely use a little bit of that ambulance healing, as all of his riflemen are very, very low. There goes the rear echelon troop squad that was in the fighting position. Also, the fighting position dies. Overall, this is not that good for him. Right now, he's basically just trying to hold on against this German push, but as you can see, because of his units being so very low on HP, he's forced to retreat them early. The captain manages to kill one of the cube wagons, but it's not enough, as the Germans are just flooding through the left-hand side, overrunning all of the Americans. And yeah, if these rifleman squads had been full health, this kind of disaster would not have happened. Now, excommunicate is going to have to essentially rally back up, maybe get some healing, and then try to push back into the left side. Seems like the Americans are down when it comes to the VPs. They're 459 to 500. Nice rifle grenade going to come down on that cube wagon. Definitely not paying enough attention. Atlas, he should have seen these riflemen coming a mile away. And, well, he pays for it with his cube wagon. Flame grenade goes into the building. It's going to force the riflemen out. And in the meantime, in the south, the engineers manage, or sorry, the rear echelon troops manage to defend the ambulance. However, overall, it seems like the Germans are going to be able to recapture the fuel point, as we're going to see a flame grenade. Oh, no, not enough munitions, but still, nice retreat from the riflemen. Forced away by, of course, the double Volksgrenadier squad that was trying to destroy them. Oh, actually, fighting position is built up by Gallant Squad, but it's not going to be enough. There's a Rakan River nicely used against it, and so it's going to be the end of this poor fighting position. At the same time, though, this exposes the ambulance, and we see that Holy Shit is coming through, flanking his enemy, as well as the Lukes coming through right now. This is not going to be good. The ambulance is probably going to be destroyed. We see the mass retreat from the American infantry. This kind of signals to the Germans that there's nothing left on this side to deal with, and so they're just able to chase through and destroy a few units. Well, at least the ambulance goes down, and the allies are basically pushed back to their base. The Lukes is now going to be providing a nice amount of mobility to the Germans. The Germans can now strike at any point around the map with the Lukes, and the allies are going to need to bring up the AT gun to counter it. It's going to be the only thing in the allied arsenal that can counter this Lukes. And the problem is the Lukes can be everywhere, whereas the AT gun, well, it's a little bit slower. So the strategic mobility is definitely in the favor of the Germans. However, the Germans are still not really using their resources. Holy Shit is going for a flak half-track. That's a pretty good choice. It's going to help being a secondary sort of, not as good as the Lukes because it's not as mobile, but it's going to be a secondary anti-vehicle, or sorry, anti-infantry vehicle for the Germans. So it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be very strong on the defensive, of course. And right now, it seems like Lukes notices that these riflemen don't really have any way of countering it, smells blood, and comes in. However, these riflemen get veterancy 1. They might be able to wipe out these folks. Probably not, but hey, who knows? Right now, it seems like there's a bazooka team and another bazooka team that's coming through on the right, but it's not enough. And these riflemen, instead of just plopping down some anti-tank grenades, they're running away. Finally comes with the anti-tank grenade, and actually the Lukes is in the line of fire of this anti-tank gun, so the anti-tank gun managing to get a good shot off on the Lukes. That Lukes is going to be out of action for a while. There goes a Volksgrenadier squad on the right side, a bit of a miss micro, and another bit of miss micro. Holy Shit loses Cube Wagon, so right now the Allies are back in the lead. They have the initiative again. This is going to be great because they can recapture the center. They can force away the Lukes, which is now basically dead in the water. And right now, ooh, looks like they also lose a rifleman squad. So actually, tons of losses going through on either side of the map. What was that? I think that was a rifleman squad, but I don't see... Did he have 4 rifleman squads? No, that was the rear echelon troop. So the rear echelon troop with bazookas getting wiped out by the Sturm Pioneers. Gonna give the Sturm Pioneers a Panzerschreck, or sorry, a bazooka. Nice grenade gonna come through. And yeah, ooh, this rifleman squad is very low, but it should be able to escape. So right now, let's quickly assess the situation. The Allies are at 3 infantry squads. let's see, 6 infantry squads, plus the captain, plus 2 AT guns, plus an MG and a mortar. So they're pretty well off when it comes to infantry and support weapons. They have a balanced composition. They can deal with most threats that exist, and they can protect their territory to some degree. Looks like they have both, yeah, they've both resolved to buy ambulances, although I feel like just staying with 1 ambulance might have been a better choice because of, you know, just conserving resources. Whereas the Germans definitely down when it comes to the infantry compartment. Holy shit is down to 1 Volksgrenadier, 1 Sturmpioneer, and Atlas is down to 2-1. So 2 Volksgrenadiers and 1 Sturmpioneer. Definitely not adequate to actually defend or capture territory. Macro Troll is going to suffer for the Germans. As you can see, the south side fuel is falling to excommunicate, and the north side fuel is also falling to excommunicate. So it seems like the Allies are going to be recapturing the field lead. And there goes the flak half-track. Looks like from the anti-armor rounds from the 50 caliber machine gun. So very well using the special ability of that weapon just to deal with the threat of the flak half-track. And right now, holy shit is basically down to nothing. So the Germans are going to have to find some way to recover from this. At this point, the initiative is in the hands of the Allies. It is really the Allies' fight to lose at this point. Let's see how they pick their engagements. And right now, yeah, this is not a good thing. Almost kills his own infantry squad with a grenade. However, nice push with these riflemen. It's going to be essentially forcing the Lukes to come in and deal with it. Although, the riflemen, not enough munitions. That's sad. That's very, very sad indeed. And in the south, it seems like these Sturmpioneers should be good enough to deal with this sort of a small American incursion. Whereas, well, yeah, the Americans are trying to set up some defensive positions. They have the mortar around. They're not going to be able to, however, hold the VP, so that's not that good. And the north side fuel falls back to the Germans, so the Germans starting to get a little bit back into this. There's a few Raketenwerfers being built, and also a back-teching from Atlas is going to give him the battle breadquarters. He also has the 4th SWS Schwerpanzerschlepper supply half-track, so that tells us basically that he's going for the KT. Which is going to be very much a trade-off when it comes to time. He's going to be in a bad position for a while, and right now he's losing his last remaining Sturmpioneer, has to retreat. At the same time, however, the south is firmly into German hands again, although this attempt is not going to work with the machine gun, unfortunately for Galleon Squad. I mean, he's going to try to get the armor-piercing round to fire on the Lukes, but I don't think it's going to be working out all that well. I mean, the 50 caliber is not even firing, and here comes a grenade assault, which might even destroy the machine gun. Luckily manages to escape at the last possible second. A nice flanking maneuver, however, from these Volksgrenadiers might catch his anti-tank guns, but the sheer amount of Allied infantry is just going to be swarming across the south, scaring away the Volksgrenadiers. However, 2 anti-tank guns that are protecting this infantry blob from the Lukes are still in danger of these 2 Volksgrenadiers overrunning them. So one of the anti-tank guns is almost dead. Looks like the Obersoldaten were forced to retreat, whereas one of the anti-tank guns, yes, it's fully destroyed. The support gun is firing on the massive swarm of Allied troops that are kind of disorganizing, in a disorganized way, just kind of swarming across the central area of the map. Second 50 caliber machine gun is purchased by a Galleon Squad, and it's going to be able to repel this flanking attack by the Volksgrenadiers just fine. And a Major is now on the field for Galleon Squad, so this means that he has officially entered the late game. He might want to go for the Shermans. The Shermans are going to be a very, very nice asset right now because the Germans, as you can see, are going for the late game, but the late game, not really the Allied version of the late game. We have a Stuka built by Atlas. Looks like as a sort of reaction to the amount of support weapons and infantry that the Allies are fielding. I feel like this is not the best choice. I mean, he had a third supply half-track, so I feel like going for the Schwerpanzer quarters, as his ally did, might have been good. Going with an aggressive Schwerpanzer quarters might have been even better because it would have allowed them to hold a key position as well as, of course, get a teching advantage over the enemy. But as you can see, the Germans still kind of retain the mobility advantage with the Lukes, and now, of course, with the artillery, which is going to be helping suppress the Allied troops. The Allies are really forced into only fighting really where their support weapons are present, their anti-tank guns. So at this point, this is not looking that great for the Allies because they don't really have all that much of a versatile option for fighting. They're very tactically limited to what the Germans are going to allow them to do with their Lukes. Looks like, yeah, another problem is going to be these German infantry troops that are kind of resurging back on the field. We have 2 Wursteldan squads for Holy Shit, and we have there's still this 2-1 set up for Atlas. So Atlas still very much inadequate force. Very, very much an inadequate infantry force for him. Needs to be building more infantry squads. Perhaps starting off with some Volksgrenadiers, because really 2 Volksgrenadiers is fine, but 3 is better. And with 500 manpower, 1 Volksgrenadier squad at 280, I believe, right? No, 250, sorry. That's, yeah, that was Company Heroes 1 Volksgrenadiers. I've been playing some Company Heroes 1. Anyway, at 250, although in Company Heroes 1 they might be 290. I don't remember. Still, the kind of price that you're paying is really small for what you're getting in the early to mid game for Volksgrenadiers. Still, this bit of a blobbing effort from Excommunicate Traders is not really working out for him. He's taking some very unnecessary damage from the LEIG, and right now it seems like he's also kind of leaving his ally without any AT support, although finally Galleon Squad managed to get some bazookas on his rear echelon troops, so he's now able to kind of deal with the Lukes, at least pester him until he retreats. So he's essentially upgrading his flexibility. He can now use these rear echelons to support his riflemen on the right side and, well, maybe harass some points, maybe capture them and hold them. And when the Lukes comes in, he can use, of course, the bazookas to try to repel them, which isn't going to be all that effective, but it's still going to be better than nothing. Panzer IV is on the field for Holy Shit, and this is going to provide that much more of a mobility advantage to the Germans. As you can see, with their medium and light vehicles right now, they're dominating the battlefield. The Allies are forced to respond to their whims basically all over the map. And, well, this is kind of showing in the resource game. As you can see, the Germans have more manpower. Well, not manpower, more munitions. Well, they also have more manpower income because they have less troops on the field. But they have more munitions and more fuel income than the Allies. And then they also have control over 2 VPs. Well, actually, no, the Allies have control over 2 VPs, but that's just because the Germans are not capturing the middle VP for some reason. The south, however, the Panzer IV, it seems like, yeah, it's biting off a little bit more than it can chew. Looks like a nice Stuka barrage is going to come through on the AT guns, destroying one of them and almost demolishing the other one. The Panzer IV, however, took a nasty hit, some nasty hits from the anti-tank guns, and especially a rifle grenade, going to slow it down quite a lot and force it to come back and repair. So that's going to take it out of the fight for a while. However, the Germans do have a pretty decent corps of engineers that can repair at a pretty decent pace. The Panzer IVs, this is definitely going to be faster than what the Americans can repair with, at least at the start, before veteran vehicle crews come into play. And right now, nice grenade from Excommunicate Traders, gets a nice amount of damage on the rifleman, or sorry, on the German rifleman. He does have 3 rifleman squads that are getting vetted up quite quickly. 2 of them looks like with BARs, and 1 of them was bazookas, which is of course quite fine, especially considering that the captain is on the field, so that's more bazookas. So that's 2 anti-tank squads and 2 anti-infantry squads. Balanced approach. I feel like if the Germans had more of an infantry force, however, this would be inadequate when it comes to anti-infantry. Only 2 squads of BARs of riflemen is going to be inadequate in the late game because, well, what if you lose one? What if the Germans come in with a lot of Obersoldaten that are going to be essentially able to take on 2 rifleman squads just with 1 Obersoldaten squad, you know? That's kind of the dilemma that is facing Excommunicate Traders. He does have quite a lot of manpower, but he does not want to be spending that much more manpower on riflemen because he does not want to really bleed all that much. Right now, his Scott has been on the field for a while, but only 3 kills. Of course, it is helping supporting the infantry and just kind of peppering away these Volksgrenadiers. However, as you can see, the Allies are still kind of turtling into their defensive playstyle. I mean, oh, excellent grenade is going to take out those Volksgrenadiers. But look at their units. I mean, they've gone with the tier 4, and they've decided to bring out a Scott for Excommunicate Traders. He's bringing out another Scott, and the Galleon Squad is gone for a Jackson. So both defensive units, really. This, plus the fact that they have an advantage in support weapons and, well, in some areas, infantry, really means that the Allies are playing kind of out of character. Normally you see the Allies being the aggressive early to mid-game armored vehicle using faction, well, especially the USF. USF extremely good at the early to mid-game. But it seems like these two Allied players are very much focused on the defensive and trying to survive for now, and then trying to get to the lake and perhaps to the cavalry company and the tactical support. Where's the tactical support? No tactical support. Interesting. Yeah, we have mechanized company over here, but this is not the new mechanized company. This is not the balance batch, so it's just a regular Earth balance company, mechanized company. Yeah, well, I mean, either the Shermans or the Pershings. I still don't see this as a very viable playstyle right now for the Allies. They need to be more aggressive. They need to be trying to seize as many advantages as they possibly can in the early to mid game. Otherwise, the OKW, you know, King Tigers, etc., are going to overrun them in the late game. And as you can see, having a good time, Atlas has, well, is about to have a very good time because he's got a ton of resources. He's got, well, not every truck set up, so he's probably going for the Command Panther first. Then he might be waiting to set up his Schwerpanzerschleppler and trying to get maybe some Panthers to support the Command Panther, and then maybe later think about the King Tiger. There goes one of the Volkskrieger squads, however. The Germans need to be absolutely more careful with their infantry squads because they're losing their infantry squads left and right, and this is allowing the Allies, even though they're, again, playing a lot more passively than the Germans, and their purchases are reflecting that, even though they're playing more passively, they're able to get a map control advantage back from the Germans. Right now, the Panther command tank is coming on the field, but the early warning system of these riflemen in the building is going to work to, you know, Gallant Squad's advantage. He's going to be able to retreat to Jackson back to safe shores. However, it seems like, yeah, Gallant Squad does not have enough resources to build a second Jackson right now, which is going to leave him at a pretty big disadvantage against the Command Panther, because the Command Panther, of course, one-on-one is going to be able to deal with the Jackson. So, well, that is, unless it allows the Jackson to get some good long-range shots, in which case, well, it's going to go pretty well for the Jackson. Looks like in the south, Excommunicate Traders is having some, you know, difficulties. He's losing to these Obersudan quite heavily. Looks like the Obersudan have managed to secure 2 bazookas. Not the best squads to put bazookas on, because these guys, with their Kar 98s, they're deadly. So you definitely don't want to be swapping out those anti-infantry, you know, elite anti-infantry units for anything else. And now with 2 bazookas, they can't upgrade anything, any of their, you know, great upgrades. They can't really upgrade the infrared STGs either. Actually, holy shit, is also special operations. So we have 2 special operations players on the field. This is going to definitely provide a lot of a vision advantage to the Germans with the artillery flares. So if they can use that to their advantage, they're going to have the scouting game on lockdown, and they're going to know about the Allies' intentions before the Allies would really like them to be. Although, yeah, we do see some flares being used by Atlas having a good time, and as you can see, he does have a noticeable munitions deficit compared to holy shit. There goes the captain, by the way. Yeah, basically every side needs to be working on their unit preservation at this point. They're losing a lot of men in unnecessary ways. Right now, it seems like, however, the Allies definitely took the better of it. Gallant Squad, interestingly enough, has not gone for any upgrades on his rifleman, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. Although he's clearly been using his munitions for something else. And what that something else may be, I have no idea, because... Oh, grenades, right. Well, definitely grenades, and maybe some armor-piercing rounds, but, well, he's definitely been spamming grenades, because he's only got 81 fuel in the bank, and he hasn't upgraded anything. I mean, it takes 2 grenades, actually, to do 1 weapon, to make 1 weapon with the munitions cost. So, I guess that's conceivable, how he hasn't been really upgrading anything, because if he's been spamming out those 30 munitions frags, well, he's definitely not in the best shape. Right now, it seems like, yeah, the Panzer IV comes through. Panzer IV is gonna definitely support those Obersoldaten, but 3 Obersoldaten squads might be a little bit too much. There goes one of the Obersoldaten squads. The 2 Scots are just exerting a massive toll on the Obersoldaten whenever they go on the offensive. they managed to wipe out, or almost wipe out, the bazooka wielding squad earlier. They almost did it again. Then they wiped out the veteran upgraded squad, and now only the veteran, non-veteran upgraded squad is left for the anti-infantry role that those Oberstleutnants so desperately needed for. Because otherwise, as you can see, we have some Rangers on the field for Excommunicate Traders. That means he's picked the Heavy Cavalry Company. Heavy Cavalry Company, which, by the way, only requires 13 CPs for the Pershing. So the Pershing at this point is a possibility for Excommunicate Traders. I mean, he could be going for that right now. However, well, let's not really think about that. He's probably waiting for it. Really, the only dilemma there is how to use the extra manpower in the meantime. At the same time, we have a bit of a square off from the Jackson against the Panther. Although, massive Stuka barrage probably coming through against these riflemen. They're going to need to retreat. And actually, they pull a Trikov and they retreat into the enemy. Or, well, rather, advance into the enemy to avoid the artillery fire. That was very well done by Galleon Squad. That was, I think, because he expected the Stuka to be aimed at his retreat path. Rather than, yeah, it would have actually been very smart for Alice having a good time to aim a Stuka like this way, so that if the enemy troops retreated, he would have hit them regardless. But no, the Stuka was just aimed at the riflemen in a standard fashion. Still, the riflemen going into the Volksgrenadiers was a very good play. I definitely enjoyed that. Once again, pulling a Trikov. However, in the south, things are still not going all that well for Excommunicate Traders, despite the fact that he has been only facing these Oberstleutnants, which are now, you know, eating a lot of damage from the grenades. He hasn't been able to really push up into this left side VP, mostly because of the Panzer IV being such a good, versatile anti-infantry vehicle. I mean, this is why I always kind of am pissed off at OKW players not really going for Panzer IVs. Similarly for Wehrmacht players, they seem to like always ignore the poor Panzer IV. But the Panzer IV is just carrying this right side from the perspective of the Germans. With this left-hand side, it's absolutely carrying it. Because if it was up to those Oberstleutnants, then the Scots would definitely be, well, the end for the Germans on the left-hand side. But because of the Panzer IV, the riflemen can't really push up all that much. And these anti-tank guns are really not being aggressive enough in trying to counter the Panzer IV. On the right side, where the Jackson is present, of course, the Allies are doing better. Of course, on this side, there's also the Command Panther against the Jackson. So, Command Panther not really being as effective against infantry as the Panzer IV is really showing. And the comparatively inferior infantry forces for Galleon Squad, he's only got 2 riflemen as opposed to the 3 of Excommunicate Traders, and he doesn't have any Rangers. The comparatively weaker forces over here are managing to capture and hold more territory in this sort of mid-game to late game. So we'll see how this goes, because the Germans really need to put in some good use with their Command Panthers and their vehicles before the Allies get, you know, to their Pershings and start to mass up those Jacksons. We see a second Jackson on the field for Galleon Squad. There's actually a mortar half-track as well, and that's infantry company. So we might even see some priests. I feel like the mortar half-track was a mistake. He should have gone for the priest. Priest would have been more useful at basically every role except one. I mean, the mortar half-track has that very good wide phosphorus barrage, which gives it some flexibility in dealing with support weapons. However, really the priest would have been a lot better when it comes to firepower, especially against enemy static targets like buildings. So I feel like the priest, for just a little tiny bit more resources, by the way, not even that much more expensive. It's like 75 more fuel and not that much more manpower. Ooh, actually 480 manpower for this thing. That's huge. Anyway, still, I feel like it would be worth the extra cost, especially considering that he does have the CPs, definitely. He's got 17 CPs. So, the Allies winning the last few engagements, however, still not able to capture or hold any major territory on the flanks. This right side fuel is completely exposed. A little bit of a deficiency when it comes to harassment for Galleon Squad. He hasn't been harassing enough. He does have 2 rear echelon troops, so really sending one of these to the right side fuel all the time is not really anything too complicated for him. It wouldn't be that much of an investment when it comes to resources. And right now the Jackson's in trouble. However, nice shot from the mortar half-track. Almost saves it. Here comes a rocket strike from the Stuka. Not gonna really do all that much. Gets a few bits of damage on the mortar half track and gets, of course, vet 2 from that. One thing you can always do to vet up your Stuka is just kind of fire at light vehicles. That's one good way. And here comes some grenades, gonna take out those LEIGs. However, the Jacksons are under attack from the Command Panther at the same time. And at the same time, there's another flank coming in. The second Command Panther, now on the field for holy shit, is coming in the south, trying to deal with these damn Hemi howitzer mortar carriages. However, the Raketenwerfer that was stolen by Excommunicate Traders, plus the 2 anti-tank guns nicely positioned along the flank, destroyed the Command Panther, which advanced without any recon support. I wonder where that artillery flare was positioned. Probably over here, and it probably did not detect the anti-tank guns that were lying in wait in ambush. So that was a very, very good usage of anti-tank guns for Excommunicate Traders. He was also able to get his elite riflemen to throw some anti-tank grenades, or rather shoot some anti-tank rifle grenades at the Panther. So that was overall a very, very, very grave misuse of the Command Panther. Strange, because holy shit has been using his regular Panzer IV very well throughout the course of the game, not really overcommitting it at any point. And then as soon as you get to Command Panther, which is even more of a valuable unit, even more of a unit that you want to keep into the rear, he just kind of runs in and tries to deal with the two, oh, there goes the bazooka, Obersoldaten. He just kind of runs in and tries to deal with the howitzer mortar carriages, which, while annoying, I mean, it's not worth sacrificing a Panther to deal with 2 of them. I mean, even considering the cost, this is 225 field, whereas the mortar carriages are like, what, 80? 75 a piece, so 150 for 2. That's definitely not worth it. It's not even 3/4 of the cost of the Command Panther. So you're going to be running a loss of more than 25% fuel, plus the manpower, which is going to be around similar, and plus the fact that right now, holy shit, if he loses the Command Panther, he can't really replace it, right? Whereas Galleon Squad and Excommunicate Traders, you don't know what kind of resources they have in the bank, and you haven't seen any vehicles out of them in a long time except these howitzer mortar carriages, so you probably should be expecting them to have a lot of fuel in the bank. Of course, Excommunicate Traders is going for them 26 Pershing, which should be, you know, evident, absolutely evident from the fact that he has seen Rangers, and he hasn't seen any vehicles except these 2 light mortar carriages. So really, the smart move with the Command Panther would be to try to at least poke in, get a shot, and then poke out, trying to, you know, keep it alive, because you know a Pershing is coming. You need the Command Panther to counter the Pershing. The poking in and poking out would be, of course, to get some veterancy off on the Command Panther, which would very much help when the Pershing comes in, but it's not enough. The, you know, Command Panther eventually died, and now only 1 Command Panther is on the field. It's going to be supported by Jagdpanzer by Atlas. Not sure about this choice. I feel like it could have been, yeah, it could have been better, you know, that fuel could have been better employed in some other manner. Although it is definitely the cheapest anti-vehicle choice. There goes a nice grenade. It's definitely the cheapest anti-vehicle choice in the arsenal for the Germans. I mean, Galleon Squad right now is going for 2 Jacksons. So it seems pretty clear to me that, well, also there's some 1919 LMGs, so, I mean, Galleon Squad is pretty clearly going for infantry company. He's got a mortar half-track, he's got 1919s, that means infantry company. So Atlas should know that there's no big heavy coming through for Galleon Squad, and that basically these Jacksons are the only anti-vehicle, or rather the only vehicles that he's going for. So you don't need a heavy anti-vehicle like the Jagdpanzer that's so sort of inflexible. Because what is it going to do? Oh, it's going to shoot at some Jacksons, you know? Tank destroyers shooting at each other is like the worst idea. Because, hey, these 2 units can only deal with enemy vehicles. So really, if you think about it, you want to grab a tank destroyer because it's a cheap anti-vehicle that's very effective. So what you want to do is you want to use it to counter enemy vehicles that are going to be dealing with your infantry. Because a tank destroyer itself is only an anti-vehicle unit. If you have a tank, but that can deal with, you know, the enemy's tank destroyers, like the Command Panther can with the Jacksons, there's no need to go with a tank destroyer on top of that to deal with Jacksons, if you follow my, reasoning. Although it was pretty convoluted. Essentially, Atlas does not need Jagdpanzer right now. He needs an anti-infantry measure. He's got a Stuka, which is fine, but it's not enough because the Stuka is really bad at dealing with moving targets. And if Gallant Squad does not blob too heavily and, keeps an eye on his riflemen, he's going to be basically fine from the Stuka. So perhaps the best choice right now for Atlas would be to wait for the KT. I'm pretty sure you cannot go with the KT and the Command Panther at the same time. I think that was changed in the last patch. But either going with some Panthers or getting some extra resources and then waiting to see what happens. Maybe go for the KT if he loses the Command Panther. That seems like the best choice for him. Couple of Rangers going to absolutely shred the mortar, and actually they're doing a lot of damage to the half-track as well with their Thompsons, and the Pershing is coming from the south. It's going to force away the veteran-free Panzer IV. There goes the Stuka, actually. Last barrage, not really doing too much, only clipping some rear echelon troops, and right now the Allies are just completely swarming through with their infantry in the center and south. As you can see, this is the deficiency of anti-infantry coming into play for the Germans. They just don't have anything to deal with this massive swarm of riflemen, and their vehicles are still being relatively pushed back by the Allied, big guns, the Jacksons and the Pershing. They're definitely able to deal with the Panthers, all right, and they're definitely able to deal with the, where's the Panzer IV? The Panzer IV. So this, coupled with the very, very much lacking German infantry force, is just pushing the Axis back towards their base. It's really kind of sad for them. We see another Jagdpanzer coming through for holy shit. I feel like this is a mistake, once again. He does not need Jagdpanzers. I mean, well, maybe for him it's a little bit less of a mistake than for Atlas, because of course he wants something to deal with the Pershing now. However, maybe waiting for the Command Panther might have been a better idea. I mean, considering that the Jagdpanzer is still like 135, sorry. That's 90 less than the Panther. I can see the appeal. I mean, I still would have waited. Or I would have tried to wait for the KT, although, holy shit, has definitely lost way too much when he lost that Command Panther. I mean, 225 fuel loss is setting him back so far. I mean, he does not have any way of really gaining some good tank forces at this point, because he's just so down when it comes to fuel. His infantry, once again, being inferior, can't really secure him any fuel income, and there goes another squad. However, yeah, the Jagdpanzer definitely proving itself in the first shot, proving itself on the second shot as well, and killing the Pershing. Very good. So I guess this was a good move in the end, but still, it should not have been. It was kind of a misplay, just keeping the Pershing near trees where it couldn't retreat. Yeah, right now it seems like rear echelon troops gonna capture the center. Fuel on the north is gonna be recaptured by Volksgrenadiers from Atlas, but this is just the last hurrah of the German infantry forces. I mean, there's 1 MG, 1 Sturm Pioneer, 2 Sturm Pioneers, 2 Volksgrenadiers, and 1 Obersoldat. Also in production, we have an Obersoldat and a Volksgrenadier. So considering we have about 3 mainline infantry squads against, well, 4 mainline infantry squads for the Allies, plus the 2 Rangers, so 2 elite infantry versus 1 elite infantry. Actually, no, about to be 2 elite infantry. And the real deciding factor over here is the veterancy that the Americans have. They just have so much more veterancy. Veterancy-free riflemen with M1919s can deal with basically any infantry squad that the Germans go for, except maybe veterancy 4 or 5 Obersoldaten. So things are not looking all that good for the Allies. And once again, the sort of the reserve fuel for excommunicate traitors comes into play, and he's able to get another Pershing. Of course, the Pershing is still quite a good choice for him, because, I mean, yeah, sure, there's a Jagdpanzer on the field on his side. Yeah, sure, there's a Command Panther and a Jagdpanzer on the other side, but the Pershing can still be a very nice, very nice medium to heavy tank. It can kind of poke in, poke out, just come in, take a shot, get back behind cover, come back around, fire maybe some HVAP rounds, And then eventually, once the enemy is low enough, it can rush in with its very great mobility, get behind the enemy, and destroy him from the rear. Flanking maneuvers with the Pershing are really, really strong, as I think the Germans are about to find out. Another Stuka actually purchased by Atlas, so that's definitely a huge investment for him, considering he did not have that much fuel to begin with. Unfortunately for the Allies, there goes one of the M8 Scots, so the Germans definitely resurging a little bit, getting some successes, and right now this Jagdpanzer is in a bad spot. If these Jacksons were to come in and help out the Pershing, this could be pretty bad for the Axis. However, as you can see, the Jacksons are being kind of fixed in place by the anti-tank forces of Atlas. So if the Jacksons can kind of outmaneuver the Panther and the Jagdpanzer IV and let the infantry slug it out with enemy infantry, because again, these two vehicles don't really have all that much anti-infantry. What the Germans are relying for to keep these areas under their control are these support guns in the rear. Where the frick are these support guns? Okay, it looks like it's dead. The support guns and the Stuka, etc., etc. So as you can see, Gallant Squad is able to just kind of keep these areas blue, at least for now. And if the Jacksons can kind of outmaneuver these tanks and come around in the south and help out excommunicate traitors, this will be very good. Nice usage of the Jacksons, however. Gonna destroy the Jagdpanzer. Actually, more like terrible usage of the Jagdpanzer. I mean, it was good usage of the Jacksons, but also the Jagdpanzer should have definitely been a lot more afraid of what was happening. However, this is not good for the Jacksons. Veteran C3 Jackson hits a mine. The Panther does not follow through and try to destroy the Jackson, however, so the Jacksons are going to get scot-free, or going to get away, sorry, scot-free. And right now there is a priest on the field for Gallant Squad. It does have some kills. Most likely it is the priest that destroyed the support gun. The support gun, I don't see... Oh, right, over here. Yeah, that definitely looks like a priest. Those battle scars for the ground are definitely priest rounds. And yeah, the Allies, once again, maintaining the initiative, maintaining the map control, and of course, they're the Allies, sorry, the USF. So they can just jump out their vehicle crews whenever anything bad happens and do some critical repairs, do some normal repairs. So of course, the repair sort of action is on the side of the Allies, despite the fact that the Germans have the Sturmpioneers with the repair kits, and they also have the automatrons coming through from the Mechanized Regiment headquarters. Yeah, all of that is becoming less safe because of the artillery, and also it's not going to be repairing their vehicles as quickly as the Allies can be repairing their vehicles. So overall, the Allies are going to have their vehicles in the fight for longer. And right now, as you can see, yet more mistakes with the infantry for the Germans. Almost losing that, Sturmpioneer. Should have definitely lost it. Losing, however, the Obersoldat. Also, something else dies over here in the center. I heard riflemen screaming that enemy infantry were down. And also, it looks like the Panzer IV and the Jagdpanzer IV are now in trouble, and they're going to be forced to escape from this anti-tank gun, which is now actually veteran C3. However, the second anti-tank gun is destroyed by the Panzer IV. So that's pretty okay. However, holy shit, as you can see, is down to 35 pop cap, 2 vehicles, 2 soft targets, a machine gun, and a Sturmpioneer. So overall, complete control over the left side is definitely going to go to excommunicate traitors. Right now, he has 3 times the pop cap as his enemy, so he's definitely going to be, well, a little over actually twice now. A little over twice the pop cap of his enemy, so he's going to be in a good position to just kind of pressure into the base. Gallant Squad, when it comes to pop cap, is still superior to Atlas by a factor of a third, looks like. And so that's giving him map control over the right side as well, and over the central and right side VPs. So of triple cap is now officially through for the Allies. At 43 minutes in, the Axis have about a minute and a half left of VP tickets. Considering a triple cap, of course. However, well, the Axis might be able to do something about the center. Seems like overall, though, they're lacking in pushing power. I mean, this Command Panther isn't really doing all that much because it's being pinned down by those Jacksons. And since the Jagdpanzer IV was lost, well, it really does not have the ability to do too much because these Jacksons were fed way too much veterancy. While the Vet Zero Jacksons didn't really have the stopping power to deal with the Panther, at this point they do, and so the Panther is in a bad position. I feel like the Axis might have been better served to concentrate their armored forces into one fist. You know, both players get all their tanks together and push into one area. Perhaps that would have been more effective than what they eventually ended up doing, which, I mean, they play 2 1v1s, whereas the Allies, as you can see, are intertwining their forces pretty much all over. And the Allies are still able to manage their forces a little bit better, despite the fact that, of course, they shouldn't be, because... Ooh, here comes a grenade. They shouldn't be, because they have, you know, their units scattered about all over the map. You know, as you can see, Gallion Squad has some stuff on the right side. He's going to send maybe something to deal with this fuel point. He's got something in the center. He had something in the southwest, but now he has retreated those back at base. He's got the priest to deal with. So he's got a multi-dimensional sort of space to deal with. And he's still able to manage his units better than the Germans can, even though the Germans are playing 2 1v1s essentially. So this is not really going all that well for them. It's probably going to be over soon. I mean, the left side is recaptured, but, I mean, it's still holy shit troops. And he's sort of, well, I mean, he does not want to change his approach now, does he? I mean, he keeps going to the left-hand side. He finally goes for the second command panther, but it's a little bit late. I mean, here comes some Rangers, going to be able to destroy that machine gun with grenades. And then, of course, if the Pershing comes in, that's going to be squaring it off against the Jagdpanzer 470. Plus, of course, the anti-tank guns. Where's the anti-tank guns? Here are the anti-tank guns. They're coming from... actually, well, he's lost both anti-tank guns. Interesting. They're coming from off-map. Okay. And right now in the center, we have a bit of a push from the Volksgrenadiers. It's going to be okay. We actually see some delayed fuse bombs from the mortar half-track. Not really my favorite ability ever. In fact, it's terrible. Because, oh look, you think it's a big explosion, but it doesn't do anything. Massive Stuka barrage actually comes in on the Allied formation. One of the Jacksons is in trouble. The focus fire, however, is off from the Germans. They're not able to finish off the Jackson, especially thanks to that nice move pulling out the crew, thus disabling the auto-targeting on that Jackson. The other Jackson plus the Pershing are trying to push through and destroy this Jagdpanzer. The Jackson goes down, but once again, as you can see, the troops from the other German player, Atlas, are not coming through and joining on this assault, so holy shit was really alone on that, and so he was able to be piecemealed by both Allied players. Whereas in the center, these units from Atlas having a good time are really not having a good time. They're not doing anything. These Panthers, Jagdpanzer, they're not really doing anything because they were only facing Allied infantry, whereas the Axis infantry was, of course, dealt with by the veteran riflemen. So right now, these two units, which are a significant portion of the German pop cap and a lot of their resources that are right now on the field, basically in a decisive engagement that the Germans needed to win in order to at least have a chance to come back into this game, they did nothing. So this is once again kind of the problem that the Germans had. They did not coordinate as well as the Allies did. Perhaps this is because they were a random team as opposed to, of course, an arranged team. But hey, these two Germans needed to be a lot more, you know, a lot more aware of the situation as a whole, not just of the situation on their side. They needed to be more aware of when their ally needed support. They needed to be more aware of when their ally was trying to make a big push. Because, as you can see, the results of not being aware are this. Right now, the Allies are just able to 2v1 the Germans at any given moment whenever they want. I mean, as you can see, they're kind of delaying the Axis in the center, and they're coming through with more troops in the south. Then, once the Jacksons are going to be back on track, he's now repairing and rebuilding the force. Maybe the Allies are going to try to, you know, do something more over the center. And right now, this kind of a deadly combination is making sure that the Axis cannot recover from their earlier losses, despite the fact that, I mean, this is Allied Axis late game, so the Axis do have a bit of an advantage, just inherently. And yeah, I mean, the Schwerpanzer quarters line is still holding, but the Allies have the triple cap once again under their control, and it's only half a minute right now. 30 VPs is going to be half a minute of bleed from that triple cap, so right now it seems like the Germans are in a very bad way. I mean, the Scots might just be able to defend these VPs by themselves, and right now, ooh, I mean, these two Jacksons can't really do anything, but here comes the Priest, here comes the Scots. A nice flank coming in on the left side is going to be destroyed by grenades. Although that was a pretty bad grenade, actually. Anticipating a forward move that made no sense against, you know, Rangers. But, hey, the Rangers are going to be able to massacre the Obersoldaten. Of course, with the support of the Sturmpiles, the Rangers are going to be forced away. In the center, we have a push from the Germans, and as you can see, that glorious white phosphorus from the mortar half-track is coming into play and forcing up with Volksgrenadiers. In the south, the Command Panther from Holy Shit is going to be, well, plucked away at by the anti-tank guns, it seems. And not going to be able to do too much. The Germans are down 10 points, and it looks like the final push is going to be coming through for the Allies. The center is going to be falling to these riflemen if the Stuka does not destroy them, which it almost does. Bit of a fat finger retreat on both of these squads, whereas perhaps only one was important. And on the left side, yeah, as you can see, these riflemen are able to capture the VP anyway. So the Germans are down to 1, and now they're going to be down to 0. Well, I basically already said what I was thinking about this game. So yeah, gonna end it right now. Don't think I need to talk about it further. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. That was a great game. Thanks for sending it in from Galleon Squad. Pretty fitting for 200 cast. It was pretty good. I liked it. And well, as always, if you liked it, drop down a like, and well, if you have a replay, just send it to me. The link for the replay sending, aka my email, is in the description. I'll see you soon.